and welcome to Emerald Cottage. This is episode 10 and this is the podcast to talk about all things yarny, crochet, knitting, a bit of sewing, a bit of cross stitch and any other crafty things that I get up to. My name's Jill and I'm coming to you from Berkshire in the south of England. For those of you who don't know, Berkshire is really close to London. And in fact, we were in London on Thursday night for a cheeky little overnight away, just my husband and I, which was very nice. So that's me. Today is the 23rd of March. Gosh, March is nearly over. It's hard to believe, isn't it? And it's a beautiful day outside, so I'm a bit squinty. I'm sorry, it's very bright today. But we'll see how we go. I've got a new setup today, so I'm recording this on my vlogging camera, which has a microphone. So I'm hoping that the sound will be better than the last episode, which I think the sound was a bit sketchy, really. I wasn't very happy with it, but I'd recorded it, so I had to upload it. Hopefully this one will be a bit better. So what have I got for you today? I've got one finished object. I've got 6 whips. I know the whips are getting out of control. And then I got some acquisitions for you as well. So let's just jump straight into finished objects. So my first finished object is this top that I've made. I'll insert some footage of me wearing it in a second, but this is the sheath. This is the She's a Brick House top by Cindy Makes with Yarn, and it was a test pattern that I tested for her, and it's a beautiful brick stitch. If you can see, is that going to focus? Yeah, brick stitch pattern. And like I said, I was doing a pattern test for Cindy, so I've been doing that for the last couple of weeks, I think. So it was fairly quick make, considering, because I'm not the fastest crocheter, so I think it went quite quickly, but I've made it very long. I'll just hold it up as you can see. I've made it very long. It's almost like a tunic. It's quite long on me as well. Well, you'll see that from the other footage. But I made it in this hobby or Hobie, I'm not quite sure how you pronounce it. Going to focus. There we are. Hobby baby cotton midi yarn, which was okay to work with. Quite splitty, but I don't know if that's just the cotton element, so I tend to find that a lot of cotton yarns are quite splitty, and this one was no exception. And I used a 3.5mm hook, which is quite small for me. So I'm not quite sure if it was a small hook combined with the cotton yarn that made it quite splitty. Having said that, it worked up fairly quickly, and it was nice to work with in that it felt quite soft, and it's a lovely soft feeling now that it's finished. So it's as I showed you, it's the block stitch, and then it's got like this picot edging, which is very pretty, and just finishes it off really nicely. It's a very clever pattern, so without giving too much away, it's a made to measure pattern. So Cindy has you take a bunch of measurements which you insert to a Google spreadsheet, and then it works out all the measurements for the top for you. It's very clever. And then you kind of, so rather than chaining say 200 stitches, you chain to a certain size, and then you keep going to a certain length, and you take it into a certain width and all that kind of thing. So it's all done by measurements rather than stitch count. So in some sense, gauge isn't really important for this project. Although having said that, I did use the recommended hook size, which was 3.5mm, because I thought I'd better use that for the test pattern, the pattern test. So yes, that's my She's a Brick House top. What else can I tell you about it? It took about, excuse me, it took about 5, 10, 15 balls of this yarn, which I bought it in 10 ball packs. So it came as a pack of already selected colour choices. So I didn't choose the colours, I just chose the colour pack. And it came as these 5 colours. So as you can see, it goes from kind of pale bluey green through a darker bluey green, then white, then this mint green, and then this kind of denim-y blue, which I thought was lovely. It's very, very sort of soothing colour. It's lovely to work with, very enjoyable, and I can see myself using this pattern again. I'll definitely be making more of it, but I'll make them shorter next time, because what I find is that the length that it is, just kind of over this kind of middle bit of me here, there's like a bulge and it kind of yeah, it clings to the bulge in a rather unflattering way, I feel anyway. And I think it would be better if it was shorter top, so next time I'll definitely make it shorter. But yeah, I hope to make it again in another colour, maybe just in one plain colour with a contrast edging possibly. But yeah, that's my my She's a Brick House top, which I'm very pleased with. And that is my only finished object, because I was working on it basically monogamously for the last, well, almost monogamously for the last couple of weeks, because I wanted to get it done. I think the deadline was the 5th of April, so I got it done in plenty of time. And that brings me on to my next work in progress, which isn't actually in progress yet. I've just selected the balls of wool that I'm going to use for it, and it's, where's the pattern? What have I done with it? It's the shawl with no name yet by Sylvia Whitty of Whitty Crafts Design. That's the pattern there. So it's a kind of like a granny spike stitch shawl. Very lengthy pattern, it's 24 pages. So yeah, it's obviously very detailed, which is great. And I've just chosen my colours for it. I'm just doing stash for it even. And these are the colours that I've chosen. So I've gone for, because this She's a Brick House top was so blue and green, I decided to go for a more pinky red theme for this one. And I've chosen 6 balls of Stylecraft Special Decay, apart from one ball which is a King Cole Price Wise, and that's this red. So King Cole Price Wise in this red colour, which is called Cranberry, I think. And then Pomegranate in Stylecraft Special Decay. Pomegranate Magenta, I think this one is. This one is Fondant. And the next one is, just called Proper Purple. So you can see these. Proper Purple. And the red. And then for the edging, I've chosen just grey, which is warm grey. So these 6 colours here. Can you see? Can you see them all? So definitely more pinky red theme. And I just thought that was a lovely combination of just kind of warm pinks and reds and purples. Just something different to do really. So yeah, so I'll be doing that next. I haven't even looked at the pattern yet, apart from the pictures, and the pictures look like it's a granny spike stitch. She suggests using DK or light worsted weight yarn and a 5mm hook, so I'll be using what she suggests, as it's a pattern test. But as I say, it's a very long pattern, so there's plenty of photographs and very kind of detailed instructions, which is really good. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that one. I'll be starting that this afternoon. So yes, that's the shawl with no name yet. So I'm not quite sure if she's looking for suggested names, so if you've got any suggested names, let me know and I'll pass them on. Right, so that's my no name shawl. Okay, so temperature blanket. So this is my temperature blanket for month for January, and as you can see, it's one, or hopefully you can work it out, it's 1 square per day. So each square is 3 rounds. The middle round is the low temperature for the day, round 2 is the high temperature for the day, and then round 3 is just parchment. And then once I've joined all the month's days together, then I go round it with parchment once again. So actually it's 4 layers on this one, if you can see. Oops. There's 4 rounds on this square that you can see. So this is January, which is quite blue, as you'd expect, because it's quite cold. Then we have February, which was very mild, so very green. That's February. And then we have March so far, so I'm kind of working a week behind myself. And as you can see, the first 4 days of March are blank, and that's because March didn't start until Thursday. So the first week's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, no, March didn't start until Friday. The first week's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are like blank days, you know, like a calendar layout in a diary or something. So that was that one. So that's coming along quite nicely. I'm using, well, I don't know about you, but I've got a really bad habit of not writing down what hook size I'm using for various projects. So this was a classic case. So I did January and that was fine. February I picked up a size 5, I think it was, hook and used it. And then I realised that February was actually bigger than January. So then I looked back in my notes and I had for once written down that I used a 4mm hook for January. So I used a 4mm hook for January, 5mm hook for February. Couldn't face ripping it out and doing it again, so I decided to go for a 4.5mm hook for March, and I'm going with 4.5mm hook thereafter. And it seems to be okay. I think you can see the difference between January and February there. There's a bit of a difference in size, but I think it'll block out fine. It's only a blanket anyway. It's not too, doesn't have to be like a perfect fit or anything. So I think once I've blocked that out a bit, it'll be fine. I'll block it before I join them together. And that's my temperature blanket, and it's just my own design. I've just seen a few on Pinterest that I quite fancy the look of, and I just kind of used those as inspiration and then made up my own design as I went along. So yeah, there we go, just granny squares. So that's my temperature blanket. Let's have some tea. Then my next work in progress is a virus shawl. So that's quite exciting. I've never done a virus shawl before. I'm sure you've heard of the virus shawl, everybody has. This is a picture of it here. This lovely open lacy shawl. And it's so called virus shawl because when it came out maybe 7 years ago, maybe more than that, basically it went viral and everybody was making them. It was all over Instagram and Facebook and all over local groups and everywhere. So hence it's called the virus shawl. It's by, I had to look this up, it's by a lady called Julia Marquardt. I think she's German, so it must be Julia Marquardt. And I think initially it was a video tutorial, and several people have done a written pattern based on that, so which you can download for free from the internet. And I got mine from a website called the Snugglery, so the snugglery.net. I'll put it in the description box below. And it's how to, I've lost a page of it already, how to do the virus shawl. So it's very simple. You start off with, I think it's 6 rows. 6 rows. Yep. You got 6 rows, and then you repeat rows 7 to 10. Is that right? Yeah, repeat rows 7 to 10. And it's a very easy pattern to get your head around, which again is why it was so popular, because it's very straightforward and it just produces, you can see this lovely kind of lacy effect here. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to this working up. I've just started it. It's tiny at the minute. It's a tiny little shawl. A bit of a close up there. And this is Yarnsmith's Pebble Haze Prints yarn, which is this, it's lovely and soft, and it's like, I don't know what you call this yarn, maybe you can tell me. It's like, instead of being twisted, it's kind of already woven. I don't know if that's going to pick up or not. It's kind of woven in a sort of mesh effect almost. So it's, you can't split it really very easily. It doesn't really split at all, in fact. So I don't know what that kind of yarn's called, but it's a double knitting weight, DK weight, and it is 67% cotton, 33% acrylic, and it's beautifully soft. And it comes in these beautiful colours. Look at that. It's like tutti frutti ice cream, isn't it? Just wonderful. And like I say, very soft. And this shade was called Saltburn, I believe. I think this particular Prince one comes in about 24 shades, something like that. And it was from Wool Warehouse. Excuse me. So as you can see, I've got up to about row 6 or so not very far. I just started it yesterday. But yeah, it's going well so far. I'm pleased with it, and I'm pleased with how the yarn's working up. It's just, I've seen a lot of pictures on Instagram of this yarn and how it worked, and yeah, how it works up rather, and it's just beautiful. I just love the kind of colours in it. It's just gorgeous. So there we go. That's my virus shawl so far. Right, next we have my hospital blanket. This is quite a boring one actually, because it's just a boring corner to corner blanket. There's nothing really particularly interesting to say about this. I think I showed it to you last time anyway. It's grown a little bit since then. And it's this colour combination here, which is quite... Is it quite garish? Would that be the word you'd use for it? It's very bright. I wanted something that was really bright and colourful, because it's a hospital blanket, so it's going to somebody who's not being well, so hopefully it'll cheer them up. And I definitely showed you this before because I remember struggling with the name. It's called Swirly Whirly. Swirly Whirly from James C. Brett. That really doesn't want to focus, does it? Because it's shiny. Swirly Whirly, there we go. And it's lovely. Oh, it's really soft yarn to work with. It comes 200 gram balls, and it's 100% acrylic, I want to say. Where does it tell me that? Yeah, 100% acrylic, and it's 200 gram balls, so it's quite a lot of yarn in one ball of it. And it's pre-dyed to be this colour changing yarn. And I love the way in corner to corner it starts off with quite thick stripes of each colour, and then as the stripes get longer, they get narrower almost. I thought I'd do this with two 200 gram balls, so what I'm going to do is keep going until the blanket is, until I finish the first ball of yarn. I mean, once I finish the first ball, then I'll start the decreases, and then I know that exactly half of it will have been used for the first half and half of it for the second half, and that's one ball for each half, so it's quite easy to work out. So yeah, so I'll be doing that. So that's my current hospital blanket. Ooh, my next work in progress is very exciting because it's not crochet, it's knitting. I know. So here we have it. Very exciting, this. Oh. So this is, I'll show you the pattern first of all. I'll show you the start of the pattern. This is the Simple Lace Scarf by Alison from Knit One Kits. And I bought it, you can see there how it's meant to look like. This kind of zigzag chevron effect. I bought this at, ooh, which wool show was it? Can't remember. It wasn't Unravel and it wasn't the Stitch Festival. Where else did we go? It might have been the Southern Wool Show actually. Yeah, I think it was the Southern Wool Show back in like October, November time. And my friend Kath that I went with actually bought this for me for my birthday and then kept it for me for Christmas. So here it is. Look at this knitting. Look at this. What do you think? It's good, isn't it? Let me give you a close-up. Really tough with it. It's taken me flipping ages. Oh, I'm not a very good knitter, I'm quite slow, and I made a lot of mistakes and had to rip a lot of it back. So I did get to one point where I think I got to this kind of, this kind of row here and realised that I'd made a mistake way back down here. And I started unknitting one stitch at a time, but that was going to take forever, so I had to just bite the bullet and just whip it off the needles and rip it all back and then pick up all the stitches, and that was quite scary. I managed it, I did it okay. I picked up all the stitches bar one, which I then discovered on the way back as I kind of unpurled the last row. I realised that I'd lost a stitch, which I picked up, and that was fine. I have since done a couple of other mistakes where I've had to rip it. I've not had to actually rip it back again, I've had to unknit it. Last night I had to unknit about 5 rows, so that was quite annoying. But I love how it's working up. I'm so proud of myself. So I've got unfinished business with a chevron scarf of knitting. So when I was about 9, I learnt to knit at school, and our teacher was called Mrs. McDole, and what you did was you sat in class and you knitted, and then if you had a problem you got in the queue for Mrs. McDole, who would then help you fix your problem. I just spent all my time in the queue for Mrs. McDowell fixing problems. I could never do anything, kept making mistakes the whole time. I didn't really have a clue what I was doing. Certainly didn't understand the whole decrease and increase aspect of what makes it be a zigzag. Although from memory, and how I can remember this when it was, you know, like nearly 50 years ago, I don't know, but from memory it was the decreases were knit two together and the increases were, I think, is it knit one make one you call it or something, or you go, or knit into the front and the back, is that right? Something like that. I think that was how you increased, whereas this for the decrease is you slip a stitch, then you knit two together, then you pass the slip stitch over. PSSO, get me. I know what I'm talking about now. And that was a new thing I had to learn for this. So I had to learn how to slip a stitch, had to learn how to PSSO, had to learn how to yarn forward. Knit two together I could already do, and knit and purl I could already do. But I've had to learn how to read the knitting, so I'm still not very good at it, but I'm getting better. And I'm obsessively checking the stitch count every row to make sure that I catch mistakes early on, because I do have a habit of doing things like slipping a stitch, knitting two together, and then forgetting to pass the slip stitch over, so I end up not losing that stitch. So I've done that quite a few times. Or another one I've done is, so there's a bit where you go knit, you go, what do? You go yarn forward, knit one, then yarn forward again, knit four. And what I do is I keep doing yarn forward, knit one, yarn forward, knit two, knit three, knit four, so I'm kind of not knitting enough. And that's another common mistake that I've made quite a lot. So I keep having to kind of unknit rows. When I get to the end of the row, there's not enough stitches, I just unknit it, which that's my terminology for painstakingly unpicking each stitch. I don't know if that's the right terminology or not, but that's what I call it, unknitting. Excuse me. So yeah, that's my knitting. Isn't it good? It's coming along really well. So I've used about half a ball of yarn so far. I've got 3 balls, and it is this Millicolori Baby, which sounds Italian, doesn't it? Millicolori Baby yarn by Lang Yarns. Can I focus? Yep, there we go. By Lang Yarns, and it's I presume Millicolori means million colours. You can see this ball primarily looks purple, but there is a lot of colour within. And you can see very much on this one that we've got through the purple and we're in the green, and obviously the stripes are working up, very colourful. So yeah, so that's my knitting. Oh, I'm doing it on size 4.5mm needles, which I had to buy. I didn't have the right size of needles, despite having, you can see up there, I've got a whole jar. I've got a whole jar of needles, these are actually my mum's knitting needles. And you would think, wouldn't you, that I had every size in this? But no, there was no 4.5, or no, there's 4, there's a 3, 7.5, 3.25. Lots of bamboo ones, which I didn't want to use. Oh, look, little cute beginner ones. Do you remember these? Did you have these when you were little? Little beginner knitting needles. Oh, they're so cute. Come on, focus. No, it's not going to focus, but they're really cute, the little cat heads, really sweet. Oh, yeah, this is my mum's stash of knitting needles. She can't knit anymore because she's got arthritis in her hands, bless her. She was a really good knitter. I think I've mentioned this before in the podcast. She will get her needles out and she'll sit and it'll be like click, click, click while she's talking to you and while she's watching TV, and the needles are clicking, click, clicking, and her fingers going like this. And she just produces the most amazing work. I don't know how she does it. I'm very much kind of into the whole very slowly, painstakingly, and then get my yarn ready because I've dropped it again. And then let's do a bit of knitting, shall we? Should we do a bit of knitting live on air? Very exciting. Plus I'm a very tight knitter, so everything doesn't move very well on the needle. You said hook again then. I'm very much going to go in round. The first stitch is always a bit of a pig, isn't it? In, and then struggle to get it off the hook, the needle, and in, round, and back out again. And you can see it's all very slow and clunky. But then as the row goes on, I start to pick up slightly. But as you can see, it is very throwing the, is it called throwing the wool around? Throw. I think it's because I don't quite understand how to hold the yarn like this. It sort of doesn't flow very well and gets all tangled up. So yeah, any hints and tips for how to hold the yarn are very welcome. I'm getting there though. I am pleased with it. It's coming along nicely and I'm learning a lot, which is good. Good for the old grey matter, isn't it? So that is my knitting. I thought I had another work in progress. What was that then? Maybe I didn't. Right, hopefully the camera's in the same position. My memory card was full, so I had to go and take all the stuff off it. But we're back now. So I think I just finished talking about my whips, and I was going to come on to talking about my new segment, which is called Cracking the Whip. So cracking the whip as in cracking a work in progress and cracking it to get it done, cracking on and getting it done. And the one I've chosen for this episode is a shawl that I started 4 years ago, and I know this because yesterday, coincidentally, on my Facebook memories, a memory popped up with a picture of this shawl, and it's called the Try and Tan shawl. It's this shawl here. Which is from Crochet Now magazine, issue 52, this one here. Issue 52. I think you can still buy back issues of this, and it's called the Try and Tan shawl. I just thought it was really pretty. I actually, did I talk about this the last time? I can't remember if I did or not. I think I did. I've decided I'm going to do it without the border. So here's what I've done so far. I've nearly finished it actually. So it's quite a good size already. And I actually think it looks fine without a border. So it's quite a straight edge. Anyway, I think a bit of blocking will just open this up nicely. And all I've got left, sorry if I'm repeating myself from last time, all I've got left is this amount of yarn here. But I've no ball band, so I haven't a clue what it is. I think I said last time I had no idea what hook size I used. However, amazingly, in that photograph, just on the very corner of it, you could see the hook I was using, and it was a size 5. So I'll be able to finish this with a size 5 hook. But this is, yeah, it's lovely. It's really soft, and it's just going to really sit nicely. I love it so far. So yeah, really, really pleased with it. And I don't think it'll take too much more to complete it. So that's my Cracking the Whip project. So I'm going to say on here, I'm going to commit to having it finished by the next time I talk to you, and you can tell me off if I haven't done it. So watch the next episode to find out, and I'll have done it. I'm telling you now, I will do it. So that's my Cracking the Whip project. Like I say, there's no ball band, but I reckon this has got some kind of wool content because it's very, very soft, and a bit sort of fibrous type thing. Doesn't smell anything, just smells of the bag it's been in, really. But yeah, lovely. And my little fox bag. Oh, isn't it sweet? Oh, it's a really nice little bag. So yeah, so that's my Try and Tan shawl. Just pop it back in its bag. Now, what else do I have to show you? So, moving on now to acquisitions, I believe. Okay, so the first acquisition I've got to show you is from a company called Tabby and Tweed. I'll link them down below. And Tabby and Tweed do weaving patterns, or weaving kits, I should say. So this is the pattern here. It's called, it just says Rigid Heddle, which is the loom type. Rigid Heddle weaving pattern, doesn't appear to have a name. And as you can see, it's this lovely kind of checkered scarf in pinks and greys. So it comes with a pattern on the back of how many threads you do for each colour, and then it comes with 3 beautiful skeins of yarn. Look at these, oh, they're gorgeous. Look at those, just gorgeous. I just love this pink one so much. And again, because I've been working a lot with blues and greens lately, I've been kind of feeling like I want to work with pink a bit more. But yeah, I love the colour of that, so I'll have to ball these up and get going on this. So I've got a Rigid Heddle loom. It's an Ashford Rigid Heddle loom. I've used it a couple of times, but I'm quite scared of it. So I'm scared of it because, why am I scared of it? I'm scared of it because I don't really know what I'm doing. Because I've used it only a couple of times, each time I go back to it, it's like learning it from scratch all over again. So it's quite daunting to have to sit down with a video to work out how to set up the, I don't even know if it's the warp or the weft, the long one. Is that the warp? It's the long one, and the weft goes from left to right. Is that right? Anyway, I don't know. Warp, that says here, warp the loom using the table above to help you. So warp, yeah, so the long one must be the warp. Is that right? Then weaving the weft replicates the warp pattern as detailed below, I think. That makes sense. So I've no idea if I'll be able to follow this pattern or not, but I'm going to give it a go. So hopefully by next time I'll have at least started and got the warp done. I've got a nice long kitchen table now that I can set the warp up on, so that's good. And a rigid heddle loom, if you don't know, you kind of set up the warp and then you wind it. So instead of having a big long warp set out all the time, it's all wound up nice and tightly and using minimal space in the back of the loom, and then you kind of release it as you go. And it's just like a tabletop, you know, it's about this size, about a metre in width, I guess. But yeah, if I get it set up, I'll put in some footage next time of me using it. So that's my tabby and tweed weaving set. Then I've got some hobby yarn. In fact, so when I was buying the baby cotton midi for my She's a Brick House top, that was this one, remember? In fact, this yarn here. When I was buying this yarn for She's a Brick House top, I bought a pack of 10 balls and then made up enough to get free postage, as you do. And that wasn't enough, so I had to buy another 10 balls, and again I just had to make it up to free postage, so I decided to buy this. It's called Butterfly Yarn by Hobby, and it's acrylic, and it's, you can see in this one it's got a colour change to it, so I thought this would make a nice shawl. And I've got two of these pink and blue ones and two of these blue and green ones. You can see the colours there. Focusing. It's a lovely kind of turquoisey green colour. I think that's beautiful. I don't think it's got a colour name. It's got a colour number. Colour 12, and this darker one is colour 6, and it's Hobby Butterfly yarn. Come on, focus. There we go. Butterfly. It's lovely and soft. It'll be really nice to work with, I think. So I got those. Then I honestly, I'm terrible. So I was in a charity shop. I quite often do a mooch around a charity shop with my friend, and we do the local ones in my local town. There's about 7 of them. It's quite good, so it's quite a good afternoon shopping. And I found 3 balls of recycled yarn in one of the charity shops, and I thought, no, I don't need more yarn. I'm going to leave it. So I walked away, went home without it. Couldn't stop thinking about it all weekend because it was really nice yarn, and thought I'm going to go back on Monday and look for it. So I went back on Monday and it had gone. But by that point it was in my head. You see, I had to have this yarn, so I decided just to buy it from Lovecrafts. So it arrived in the week. Excuse the rustling again. And I've got 3 balls of it, and it's this Stylecraft Recreate, it's called, which is a recycled yarn. So I put it in this lovely grey colour, and it is 40% wool, 30% acrylic, 30% polyester, and then in brackets it says all recycled. So I presume that that's the wool, the acrylic and the polyester are all recycled. It's not the softest of yarn, so I actually bought it to make some market bags with. I thought that'd be quite good because it's quite robust yarn. It's quite sturdy. It's a DK weight, and it says on it 100% recycled, so I guess it is 100% recycled, which I think is really good. So I'm looking forward to using that. That'll be something different to do. So I got 3 balls of that, which is what was in the charity shop, but obviously I bought it from Lovecrafts. So I've got those 3, and then I was at another festival yesterday. So on I think I said on Thursday night, husband and I went to London for the night to see Simple Minds in concert, which was brilliant. Had a really good night. And we stayed overnight, which we always do when we go to the O2. We stay overnight in the hotel that's there because it's just so easy, and we can put the car on charge overnight. It's great. Anyway, I happened to work out that in London on Friday was the Stitch Festival, which I'd been to last year and a few years ago as well. Really enjoyed it. So I said to Adam, would you mind if I went to the Stitch Festival on the way home and you could kind of wait for me in a cafe? Or I'll get the train home on my own, whatever. And he said, wait for me in the cafe. So he actually came into the Stitch show with me and just went to the coffee area and sat. And then I was able to buy things and go and dump the bags with him. It was great. I really recommend doing that. And I got a couple of bags worth of stuff, which I just grab. Okay, I've managed to get all the rustling to a minimum, got everything set out in front of me that I bought at the Stitch Festival. So the first thing I want to show you is this fabric, this batik fabric, which I bought. I bought it in 5 different colours. And it was £2.50 for each fat quarter. I just thought that rainbow of colours was lovely. So I might do some kind of patchwork with this, I think. Just thought it was lovely, really beautiful colours. And that was from Bombay Stores, which is a fabric store. It's one of the bigger ones at the Stitch Festival. The Stitch Festival is primarily, I would say, fabric. There are a lot of fabric stands there, which doesn't interest me so much. When I say a lot, I mean as in they've got the big bolts of fabric. I mean, if you wanted fabric for a project, you'd find it at the Stitch Festival. There's no doubt about it. They've got absolutely everything. They've got end-of-line stuff that they sell off cheap. They've got beautiful Liberty prints that aren't cheap at all. They've got just everything. It's just amazing. And then they also had some wool stands, although I feel not as many wool stands as they had last year, or yarn stands. So one of the yarn stands they did have though was botanical yarns, which are on Instagram. I'll link them below. And I had a little couple of purchases, can't even say that, purchases at their stand. So I bought this, and excuse the rustling, I don't want to open it properly, so I'm just going to hold it up and hope the rustling isn't too much. It's this set of 4 skeins in a kind of like tonal shades, and I just thought they were absolutely gorgeous. Sorry, I'm trying to keep the rustling to a minimum. You can see those beautiful colours, like a lovely wine colour, and then that kind of goes into slightly faded rose colour and goes gradually down to the light pink. Just thought they were beautiful. Sorry. So yeah, so I think those would be destined for some kind of really big wrap shawl type thing, where I can have like a nice colour fade from one side to the other. And I also from them bought these 2 skeins. I got them because I like the purple. One of them was slightly more expensive because it came with a sock mini as well, which I didn't actually want to go with this purple. This one's called Quality Street Purple Sock Set. But the 2 purple skeins are the same. It's both 4-ply superwash, 75% merino, 25% nylon. And they're the same purple, but this one happened to come with a sock mini, which I didn't want, but it's there anyway. I'll add it to my pile of minis and use it for something at some point. I just thought it was a gorgeous purple, really kind of vibrant. Don't know what I'll use this for, but something eventually. So that was Botanical Yarns. Then there was Debonair Yarns, and I bought 2 skeins of their lace weight extra fine merino colourways Carnival, which is these beauties here. Look at these. Just thought the colours in those were amazing. Couldn't resist those at all. So I bought 2 of those. Again, it became some kind of shawl. And that's their card there, Debonair. Is it too shiny? Is it okay? Debonair Yarns. And they're on Instagram and Facebook. So I'll link those for you below as well. That's Debonair Yarns. And then there was a stall called Brian's Best Wools, which is this stall here. And that was mainly a lot of commercial yarns, but he has good prices for them. So I bought from his stall, I bought some of this Debbie Bliss Rialto DK. Is it going to focus again? Is it focusing? Can't tell. I bought 4 colours in it anyway. These 4 here. and they are to add to my collection of Debbie Bliss Rialto DK. I've got another, probably 12 odd balls somewhere in my stash, which I bought years ago. So I went through a phase years ago of, because these are not as expensive as hand dyed yarn, but for commercial yarn I think they're quite expensive. They're £5 for a 50-gram ball, which I think is quite a lot. So if you want to make a blanket, you're going to be spending upwards of £100 probably. But I really wanted to make a harlequin blanket, you know, with like diamonds that are outlined in white. And I'd seen a few of those on the internet years ago, and I've always kind of had in the back of my mind that I'd quite like to make them. And I started buying the Debbie Bliss wool for it. That and Sublime Cash Merino, I think was the other one I bought, that go quite well together. And they have these lovely kind of soft muted colours. A lot of duck egg blue and sage green, and sort of like wine, like mulled, not mulled wine, but like a sort of muted wine colour. So I had this envisaged in my head of this beautiful blanket and these kind of soft colours. But I went through a phase a few years ago of every time I went to Hobbycraft, I would buy one ball of yarn. So I used to go to Hobbycraft quite a lot, but I would try and resist the yarn. And I would just go in and buy one ball of yarn of the Debbie Bliss stuff or the Sublime Cash Merino one. So that's in my stash upstairs somewhere, so I need to sort that all out and get all the balls out to match these ones and see what I can make with them. But yeah, I'm hoping to make this, as I say, this harlequin blanket. That's what I'm kind of in my head envisaging these going to be. So, but I thought they were lovely, soft colours, really beautiful. So that's those ones. And then I bought two kits. I bought an embroidery kit from Crafty Smith, and she's www.craftysmith.com, and she does cross stitch kits. And I bought this one which says, "There's so much room for you in my heart." So much room in my heart for you, sorry. So much room in my heart for you. And I got this to make for my husband. I thought he'd like that. He probably won't care, but I'd care, so I'll enjoy making it. So yes, that's a cross stitch kit. And then I bought an embroidery kit, which is a bit hard to see, and this was by Sew Made by Jess, and she is Sew Made by Jess on Instagram, which I'll link below again. And that was this kit called Good Vibes Only, which I'll see if you can see, is that there. So it's in a hoop, and it's embroidery this time rather than cross stitch, and it says Good Vibes Only. The material is like a greeny grey colour, and then it comes with these like lovely reds and yellows that go on top of it. And I thought it was a really nice kit. I think that was just for myself, to just make for myself and display in my craft room. So that was that one. I think that was everything I bought actually, which seems like it wasn't a lot, but certainly cost a lot, although don't tell my husband that. I need to stop going to yarn shows because I keep buying yarn and then not using it, so I need to kind of stop. I think I'm not going to go to any for a while now because there's no local ones happening anywhere that I know of. Problem is that I see them on Instagram and I think, oh, I'd love to go to that. I've got a friend that I go with quite often, so we kind of our day out together. Although I have to say, going to the Stitch Festival on my own was definitely a kind of different experience. I went around it much quicker, so I left Adam in the cafe, went off round it to look at all the stalls, and within about probably an hour and a half I'd done everything. Turns out when you don't have someone going, oh look at that, isn't that lovely, next to you, with you, you don't spend as long browsing. So I kind of got around it in record time, which was fine because we had a deadline to get back for in the afternoon anyway, so that was fine, it worked out really well. But when I went back to the cafe to get him, he was like, are you finished already? Like, yep. Are you sure you don't want to go around again? I'm like, nope, I'm done. So yes, that was the Stitch Festival and my acquisitions from that. Then I wanted to share some books with you that I got. So I got a few books for Christmas last year, and I bought myself a couple of books recently as well. So not Christmas, my birthday. So the books that, was it Christmas actually? Oh, maybe it was Christmas. I was thinking it was my birthday, maybe it was Christmas. The books that I got for Christmas were, so first of all I got this Craft Your Year with Sarah Davies. Sarah Davies is becoming very well known now. She's the, I guess, managing director of Crafter's Companion, and she's also a Dragon on Dragon's Den, and she's just done some comic relief work, so she's really, her agent obviously is getting her very busy at the minute, and it's this beautiful craft book. It's got all lovely projects. It's Craft Your Year. I don't quite know what's the year about it, but it's got like a Valentine's Day gift box. You can see there. It's got, what else have we got? Mother's Day card, a heart frame. So she's made, you see there, those like curly paper hearts that you make, put them in a frame. That's quite effective, isn't it? All very doable crafts. And if you follow her channel on Facebook, she quite often shows you like little kind of sped up clips of her doing these projects. So she does actually do them herself as well. I'm guessing she didn't do them all for the book, but she does do them in her adverts. There's a lovely wreath, an autumnal wreath. Look at that. Isn't that lovely? So lots of crafts, various things. So Craft Your Year with Sarah Davies. It's called the Crafting Bible. So I've got that one. Then I got this crochet market bags, which I think is where I got the idea for the grey market bag with this recycled wool from, wherever it's gone. But yeah, it's lovely bags by Selena Baca, and it's got 10 bags in it of varying styles. I thought that was quite nice. It's called the Hempster handbag. Hempster handbag. You can see there that lovely pattern. That was quite nice. And what else did I like? I liked that mesh market bag, which is quite sort of standard design, isn't it? So I might get a couple of designs out of the grey yarn that I've got. So that was that crochet market bags by Selena Baca. And then I got this one because it was recommended by a YouTuber that I watch, who I think was Hannah from the Cozy Cottage Crochet podcast, I think. It's called Mix and Match Modern Crochet Blankets by Esme Crick, and it's this book here. And I haven't even opened it yet, so I can't really tell you what's in it, although I did get, like I said, I did get it for Christmas. But it appears to have lots of blanket stitches that you can, obviously, mix and match, and it's got some projects in here as well. So it's got like a Stash Buster scarf, it's called, which is there with lovely rainbow bubbles on it. What else has it got? It's got lots of different, so it's got bobble stitches, it's got tapestry patterns. So the tapestry patterns are this kind of thing here, triangles with tapestry crochet. Yeah, just lots of different fun things that you can encompass into making a blanket. Cables, or braids they're calling it, cables. So yeah, lots of different designs that you can mix and match. And I think it'd be quite interesting to have a go at some of those, just as little square, like little sampler squares almost. But yeah, lots of different designs to have a go with. And they do have a lot of blanket designs at the start. There's one called Desert Highway. Frosty Morning. Yes, there's lots of different patterns, and it's got a lovely selection of blankets on the front. So yes, that's a good book as well. And then just recently I bought, oh no, who did I see this was recommended by? Was it something like She's Not, no, was that it? I can't think now. Anyway, A Modern Girl's Guide to Granny Squares. And the Instagram user that I saw had made up some of these examples, and they're just brilliant. I thought they were just so fun and a really modern twist on the kind of traditional granny square. So it's got, let's look, like there's a lovely rainbow. It's got, let's have a look. Oh, look at that one, citrus slice cushions, isn't that fabulous? The colours in that, isn't that gorgeous? They're all really brightly coloured, just really modern twist on it all. Lovely rainbow chevron blanket. A little tote box thing. Little mini squares. And it's just got lots of different squares to make as well. So there's like a sort of corner granny crochet one, granny square one. What else? Oh, look at that, that's the citrus square one, isn't it? Yeah, so just really fun squares, so I'm looking forward to having a go at doing some of those. It says awesome colour combinations and designs for fun and fabulous crochet blocks, and it's by Celine Seaman and Leonie Morgan, and it's a Search Press book. So that's that. And with that, I think, I just get my list out, I think that is everything. I forgot to say, oops, I forgot to say at the start, thank you very much for joining me. If you're new, it's a pleasure to see you, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back. If you're new or returning, please feel free to hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, or leave me a comment, just so I know I'm not talking to myself. It'd be really nice to hear from you. And until then, I hope you have lots of lovely crafting time, and I'll see you very soon in the next one. Bye!